Commander Alex Turner stood on the bridge of the starship Orion *, his eyes fixed on the view screen. The alien planet loomed before them, its surface a mix of deep purples and blues unlike anything seen on Earth. This was humanity's first journey to Proxima Centauri, their first real chance at meeting an advanced alien species. The crew had trained for years for this moment, but nothing could truly prepare them for what waited below. "Status report," Alex said, his voice calm despite the tension in his shoulders. Lisa Nguyen, the ship's communications specialist, looked up from her console. "All systems normal, Commander. No response to our greeting message yet." The Orion * had been orbiting the planet for 6 hours, broadcasting peaceful messages in various formats. The crew knew the aliens called themselves the Krell. Earth's long-range telescopes had observed their cities and vessels for decades before this mission launched. "They know we're here," said Dr. Samuel Warren, the ship's biologist. "They're probably studying us, deciding if we're worth talking to." Alex nodded. The thought made him uneasy. Humanity had hoped for friendly contact, for an exchange of knowledge and culture. But something about the silence felt wrong. The bridge speakers suddenly crackled to life. A series of sharp clicks and hisses filled the room. "We're receiving a transmission." Lisa's fingers flew across her console. "The computer is translating now." Everyone held their breath as the alien sounds transformed into an English voice, flat and emotionless. "Human vessel, you have entered Krell space. State your purpose or be destroyed." Alex straightened his uniform and nodded to Lisa. "This is Commander Alex Turner of the United Earth Alliance vessel Orion *. We come in peace, seeking diplomatic relations between our worlds." There was a long pause before the reply came. "Your species is unknown to us. Scans indicate primitive technology. You may land a small team at the coordinates we provide for assessment." Dr. Warren frowned. "Assessment? What does that mean?" "It means they're deciding if we're a threat," Alex replied quietly. "Or maybe if we're worth their time." 8 hours later, Alex led a team of 5 to the planet's surface in a small shuttle. Lisa was there to handle communications, and Dr. Warren to study the aliens. 2 security officers, Kate Powell and Ryan Jones, completed the team. The Krell landing zone was a flat stone platform surrounded by tall metallic structures that gleamed in the light of the planet's red sun. As the humans exited their shuttle, they got their first look at the aliens. The Krell stood nearly 7 feet tall, their bodies covered in dark scales that shimmered with an oily iridescence. Their eyes were vertical slits, yellow and unblinking. Most striking were their limbs. 4 arms ended in clawed hands, and powerful digitigrade legs supported their massive frames. "Welcome, humans," said the tallest Krell. Its mouth didn't move. The sound seemed to come from a device at its throat. "I am Superior Hunter Krevnar. You will follow." The team was led into a vast chamber where dozens of Krell watched from elevated platforms, like scientists observing specimens. During their brief meeting, the Krell asked pointed questions about Earth's defenses, resources, and population. They showed little interest in cultural exchange or scientific cooperation. Their responses to human questions were dismissive or vague. While the others talked, Dr. Warren used his handheld scanner to quietly analyze Krell biology. What he found disturbed him. Their teeth and digestive system suggested carnivores that consumed prey whole. More troubling were chemical markers indicating they had recently eaten something with DNA surprisingly similar to human. As they returned to the shuttle, Lisa whispered to Alex, "They don't see us as equals. Did you notice how they kept calling us specimens and samples?" Alex nodded grimly. "I noticed. They're not looking for friends. They're looking at us the way we might look at cattle." Back on the Orion *, Dr. Warren shared his findings with the command team. "They're apex predators, through and through. Their entire biology and psychology is built around domination, and based on tissue samples I detected, they've encountered humanoid species before and eaten them." Alex looked out the viewport at the Krell world below. He had come seeking new allies among the stars. Instead, he had found humanity's first true interstellar threat. "Send a message to Earth," he told Lisa. "Priority 1. We need to prepare. The galaxy just got a lot more dangerous." 6 months passed since the Orion's return from Krell space. Earth took Commander Turner's warning seriously. Military spending tripled. Ships were retrofitted with new weapons. Training for space combat intensified. Still, most people hoped diplomacy would win in the end. Those hopes died on a quiet Tuesday morning. Major Kelly Daniels was halfway through her morning coffee when the alarms blared across the Martian colony. Red lights flashed in the hallways of Olympus Base, home to over 20,000 civilians. "Status report," she shouted, rushing into the control room. The young officer at the scanner station looked up with wide eyes. "Multiple ships just appeared in orbit, Major. Nothing like we've ever seen before." The main screen showed 5 massive vessels, their hulls covered in what looked like overlapping scales of dark metal. No warning, no communication, just their sudden appearance above Mars. "Get me Earth Command," Kelly ordered. She had barely finished speaking when the first impacts hit. The colony shook. Dust fell from the ceiling. "They're targeting our defense grid," another officer reported. 3 defense satellites already down. Kelly grabbed the microphone for the colony-wide system. "This is Major Daniels. We are under attack. All civilians proceed to emergency shelters immediately. This is not a drill." She turned to her second-in-command. "Start the evacuation ships. Get as many people out through the south tunnels as possible." The next hours passed in chaos. Krell landing craft breached the colony dome in multiple locations. Their warriors moved with terrifying efficiency, ignoring surrendering humans and targeting anyone who resisted. Kelly led a group of Marines in defending the main evacuation route. Their weapons seemed to barely affect the Krell, whose scaled armor deflected most bullets. But they found that concentrated fire could bring down even the largest attacker. They've never faced serious resistance, Kelly realized as she watched a Krell warrior fall. They don't even try to take cover. From her position, she directed civilians toward the escape ships. Families ran past her, carrying whatever they could grab. Children cried. The elderly struggled to keep up. Kelly's Marines formed a protective line, buying time with their lives. "Ship 1 is away," came the report over her radio. 400 civilians clear. A small victory, but not enough. Not nearly enough. By the time Kelly boarded the final evacuation ship, Olympus Base was a burning ruin. Of the 20,000 colonists, barely 7,000 escaped. The ship rumbled as it pushed away from Mars, racing toward the relative safety of Earth. In the ship's cramped medical bay, Kelly found Dr. Ben Foster treating the wounded. His hands were steady despite the blood covering his coat. "I counted at least 3 different attack styles," Kelly told him as he bandaged a cut on her arm. "These weren't random attacks. They were hunting us." "Worse than that," Ben replied quietly. "I saw them take people. Alive." On Earth, Defense Director Richard Ortiz reviewed the footage from Mars. Every available screen in the command center showed a different angle of the attack. Analysts pointed out details, how the Krell moved, how they organized their forces, their apparent hierarchy in battle. "They'd done this before," Richard said, his voice grim. "Many times. Look at how methodical they are." He pointed to a screen showing a Krell warrior dragging away a struggling human. "They're not just killing. They're harvesting." In another room, NASA engineer Olivia Patel noticed something on the scanner data. The Krell ships emitted a unique radiation signature right before they appeared near Mars. She ran the numbers again to be sure. "They leave a trail," she whispered, excitement cutting through her fear. "We can track them." As the first human refugees from Mars reached Earth, Marine Captain Henry Blackwell was already forming a plan. Unlike the other military leaders calling for bigger guns and stronger shields, he saw a different approach. "The Krell think like predators," he explained to Richard Ortiz. They expect fear and panic. They expect their prey to run or surrender. What if we don't? Richard studied the younger man. What are you suggesting? Henry's eyes were cold with determination. Predators don't know how to handle prey that fights back. Earth has something the Krell have never encountered before. And what's that? Richard asked. Humans, Henry replied simply. We spent most of our history being prey. But we also learned how to become the predator. We know both sides. They only know one. The Krell expected their second attack on the humans to go as smoothly as the first. They gathered a fleet twice the size of the one that devastated Mars. Their warriors prepared for another easy hunt. Supreme Hunter Zex Kaloth himself led the attack force. In thousands of years of Krell history, no prey species had ever survived their second encounter. They were wrong. Admiral Paul Martinez stood on the bridge of the asterisk UEA Defiance asterisk, hidden in the shadow of Earth's moon. 5 other battleships waited with him, their engines cold, their weapons ready. They had one chance to surprise the predators. Engineer Patel's tracking system shows Krell ships will arrive in Sector 4, his first officer reported. Estimated time, 3 minutes. Paul nodded. Send the signal to all ships. Remember, we hit them the moment they exit their jump. Don't give them time to realize what's happening. Space rippled as the first Krell vessel appeared exactly where Olivia Patel's calculations predicted. Its weapons were not powered up. Its shields were down. The massive ship hung in space for just a moment, vulnerable. Fire, Paul ordered calmly. 6 human ships unleashed everything they had. Missiles streaked through the darkness. Energy beams cut through the Krell ship's hull. Before the alien vessel could raise its defenses, it was breaking apart. More Krell ships appeared. This time they reacted faster, but the human fleet was already moving, already firing. For every human ship, the Krell had 3. But the humans had surprise on their side. On Earth's moon, Captain Henry Blackwell led a team of specially trained Marines. They wore new armor designed by Dr. Samuel Warren, based on what they'd learned about Krell weapons. When a Krell landing party touched down near Armstrong Base, Henry's team was waiting. Remember, they expect us to run, Henry told his soldiers. They don't expect traps. They don't expect ambushes. They're the apex predator. Let's show them what happens when prey evolves. The Krell warriors marched confidently across the lunar surface, heading toward the human base. They never saw the Marines hidden in the crater to their left. Henry gave the signal, and his team attacked from multiple directions at once. The Krell fought fiercely but made mistakes no human soldier would make. They didn't take cover. They didn't retreat to better positions. They stood their ground and died. Back in orbit, the battle raged. The asterisk Defiance asterisk took heavy damage but stayed in the fight. Paul watched as his crew executed complex maneuvers that confused the Krell ships. The aliens tried to form hunting packs like they had done for centuries against other species. But human ships didn't flee in panic. They fought back with discipline and unexpected tactics. Sir, his tactical officer called out, the Krell flagship is pulling back. They're retreating. The entire bridge crew fell silent. No one had expected the Krell to retreat. Predators didn't retreat. In his lab on Earth, Dr. Warren studied the Krell prisoner that Henry's team had captured. The alien was injured but alive. With Lisa Nguyen's help translating, Warren discovered something important. Their thermal regulation is poor, he explained to Defense Director Ortiz. They can't handle extreme temperature changes. And look at this brain scan. Their neural pathways are highly specialized for hunting and killing, but their ability to adapt to new situations is limited. Lisa nodded in agreement. Their language doesn't even have words for compromise or peace talks. Everything is about dominance or submission. On the Krell command ship, now retreating from Earth, Supreme Hunter Zex Kaloth raged at his subordinates. 3 ships lost. Dozens of warriors killed. The humans had fought back with unexpected skill. They do not behave as prey should, one of his officers reported. They adapt too quickly. They set traps. They coordinate their attacks like predators. Zexkaloth smashed his fist against the ship's wall, leaving a dent in the metal. They are food, nothing more. Gather the full might of the Krell Empire. We will not hunt them. We will exterminate them completely. He didn't realize that human listening devices, planted by Blackwell's team on one of the destroyed Krell ships, were picking up every word. For the first time in their history, the hunters were being hunted. On the Defiance *, Admiral Martinez received the translation of the Krell commander's orders. He smiled grimly. "Send word to Earth," he told his communications officer. "Tell them we've hurt the Krell, but they'll be back with everything they have. And tell them we'll be ready." 1 year passed since the first Krell attack on Mars. Humanity had won small battles, but the war was far from over. Earth's leaders knew the Krell would return with their main fleet. When they did, even humanity's new weapons and tactics might not be enough. "They're coming," Admiral Martinez announced to the War Council. The room fell silent. Our deep space sensors detected a massive jump signature, over 200 Krell ships. They'll reach Earth in 3 days. Defense Director Ortiz looked around the table at Earth's best military minds. Options. Colonel Frank Bennett stood up. He was a quiet man who rarely spoke at these meetings. "We have a plan. High risk, but it might work." He explained his idea. A small team would infiltrate the Krell flagship using a stealth ship. They would carry special devices designed by Dr. Grace Howard, a neurologist who had studied the captured Krell's brain patterns. The devices emit frequencies that disrupt their neural systems. Grace explained. Not lethal, but enough to cause confusion, poor coordination. Their hierarchy will break down. "How do you plan to get aboard their flagship undetected?" Ortiz asked. Dr. Howard smiled slightly. "We've created adaptive camouflage based on Krell biology. Their sensors see differently than ours. We can essentially become invisible to them." 2 days later, Colonel Bennett led 5 soldiers on the stealth mission. Their ship was small, barely larger than a shuttle. Its surface was covered in the special camouflage material that bent light and other energy around it. As the massive Krell fleet approached Earth, Bennett's ship slipped between the alien vessels. The flagship was easy to identify. 3 times larger than the others, its hull decorated with the bones of conquered species. "Steady," Bennett whispered as their ship approached a maintenance hatch on the Krell vessel. "Remember, we move slowly. Their motion sensors might still pick us up if we move too fast." Inside the Krell ship, the team moved like ghosts. The corridors were hot and humid, perfect for Krell biology, but uncomfortable for humans. They placed Dr. Howard's devices at key locations, near the bridge, the engine room, and the warriors' quarters. "Last one," Bennett said as they placed the final device. "Now we." A Krell warrior turned the corner and spotted them. It let out a shrieking alarm call before Bennett could shoot it. "Run," he ordered. "Back to the ship." They sprinted through the corridors as Krell warriors poured from every direction. 2 of Bennett's team fell to Krell weapons. The others barely reached their ship and detached from the Krell vessel as claws scraped against their hull. "Activate the devices," Bennett ordered once they were clear. Dr. Howard pressed a button on her tablet. On the Krell flagship, all 5 devices activated at once, flooding the ship with invisible waves that played havoc with Krell neural systems. In Earth orbit, Admiral Martinez watched the battle unfold from the bridge of the UEA Defiance *. Earth's fleet was outnumbered 3-1. The first wave of Krell ships tore through the outer defensive line with ease. "Hold position," Martinez ordered as his officers urged retreat. "Wait for Bennett's signal." The minutes stretched on. 2 more human ships exploded under Krell fire. The Admiral's hands gripped his chair tightly. Then something strange happened. The Krell attack pattern changed. Ships that had been moving in perfect formation began to drift apart. Their firing became erratic. Bennett did it. Martins whispered. All ships, attack pattern Omega. Target their lead vessels. The human fleet surged forward in a complex pattern designed to confuse and separate the Krell ships. On the Krell flagship, Supreme Hunter Zexkaloth struggled to coordinate his forces as pain lanced through his head. His officers writhed on the floor, unable to follow commands. How? He roared. How do they know our weaknesses? The battle turned. Without clear leadership, the Krell ships fought as individuals rather than as a coordinated force. Human vessels took heavy damage, but inflicted worse on the enemy. After 6 hours of brutal fighting, the Krell fleet broke formation completely. For the first time in their history, they retreated from a major battle without destroying their enemy. On the Defiance communications specialist Lisa Nguyen intercepted a message between Krell commanders. She translated it quickly and handed it to Admiral Martinez. He read it aloud to his weary bridge crew. These humans do not behave as prey should. They adapt too quickly. The Supreme Hunt Council must be informed. This enemy is unlike any we have faced. Martinez smiled tiredly. Send a message to Earth. Tell them we've won the battle. But the war is just beginning. Colonel Bennett's ship limped back to Earth with only 3 survivors. Their mission had cost them dearly, but they had given humanity its first major victory against the Krell. For the first time, humans dared to believe they might win this war. With the immediate threat pushed back, Earth's leaders made a bold decision. For too long, humans had only defended their territory. Now it was time to take the fight to the Krell. Using technology reverse-engineered from damaged Krell ships, Earth built a new class of warships. They were smaller than Krell vessels, but faster and more maneuverable. Leading this new fleet was the UEA Vengeance commanded by now Admiral Kelly Daniels, the hero of the Mars evacuation. This ship is unlike anything we've built before, Kelly told her crew as they prepared for their first mission. Its hull contains elements from Krell armor. Its weapons are designed specifically to damage their ships. But our greatest advantage isn't technology. It's how we think. The offensive began with an attack on a Krell outpost in the Alpha Centauri system. The aliens had established a base there to stage future attacks on Earth. They didn't expect humans to strike first. The Krell expect us to behave like prey, Kelly explained during the mission briefing. They expect us to cower behind our defenses, to run when threatened. They've never faced a species that fights back the way we do. Science officer Eric Sullivan, who had studied Krell communications for months, developed a virus that disrupted their systems. When the human fleet arrived at Alpha Centauri, they deployed the virus first. The Krell outpost descended into chaos. Their ships couldn't coordinate. Their ground forces received contradicting orders. When the human fleet attacked, the Krell responded the only way they knew how, with direct, frontal assaults designed to intimidate. But humans didn't fight like Krell. They used deception and misdirection. Smaller ships drew Krell vessels into traps where larger ships waited in ambush. Ground teams used the environment against the Krell, luring them into areas where their poor temperature regulation left them sluggish and vulnerable. After 3 days of fighting, the Alpha Centauri outpost fell. For the first time, humans captured intact Krell technology and data. The information they gained was priceless. On the Krell homeworld, the Supreme Hunt Council gathered to discuss the unthinkable losses to what they had considered mere prey. 7 massive Krell sat around a table made from the bones of extinct species. Each bore scars from countless hunts across the galaxy. This cannot continue, growled the eldest council member. No prey has ever defeated a Krell hunting party. Now these humans have destroyed an entire outpost. They do not fight like prey, said another council member. They do not fight like predators either. They fight in ways we have never seen. Supreme Hunter Zexkaloth, still bearing the shame of his defeat at Earth, slammed his clawed fist on the table. They are clever animals, nothing more. I will lead our most elite hunters to study these humans up close. We will learn their weaknesses and exploit them. The council approved his plan. Zexkaloth selected 50 of the most experienced Krell warriors. They boarded a stealth vessel designed for close observation of prey species. Their mission was to infiltrate human territory, capture live specimens, and learn how to defeat this troublesome species once and for all. They never returned. 2 months later, Admiral Kelly Daniels received a report from Earth's border security. A Krell stealth ship had been detected entering the solar system. Before defenses could engage, the ship had been destroyed by an internal explosion. Analysis suggests it was deliberately scuttled, the report stated. The Krell chose to destroy themselves rather than be captured. Kelly shared this news with Defense Director Ortiz during their weekly strategy meeting. "They're getting desperate," she said. "The Krell have never had to rethink their tactics before. Their entire society is built around being the perfect predator. Now they're facing prey that fights back, and they have no idea how to respond." Ortiz nodded thoughtfully. For millions of years, the Krell evolved to be apex predators. But humans, we evolved while being hunted by predators. We had to become smarter, more adaptable. We had to learn to cooperate. Now we're using those same skills against them. On screens around his office, Ortiz could see reports from across the front lines. Humans were pushing the Krell back on multiple fronts. Their rigid hierarchy was crumbling under pressure. Their predictable tactics were being countered effectively. 3 years ago, they thought humans would be an easy meal, Kelly said. Now they're learning what happens when prey decides to hunt the hunter. 3 years into the war, the tide had turned completely. Human fleets pushed deeper into Krell territory each month. The predators found themselves on the defensive for the first time in their evolutionary history. Dr. Natalie Rivera, a xenopsychologist who had studied the Krell since first contact, presented her findings to Earth's War Council. The room was filled with military officers and government leaders, all eager to understand their enemy better. The Krell's fatal flaw is their inability to conceive of defeat, Natalie explained, pointing to brain scans displayed on the large screen. Their neural pathways show highly specialized development for hunting, killing, and dominating. But the areas we associate with adaptation and creative problem-solving are underdeveloped. Admiral Martinez leaned forward. "Are you saying they can't learn from their mistakes?" "They can learn," Natalie clarified, "but only within a narrow framework. As apex predators, adaptation was never necessary for their survival. If a hunting tactic worked, they kept using it. If it failed, they simply used more force. They've never needed to innovate." Defense Director Ortiz nodded slowly. "And humans? Humans had to adapt or die," Natalie said simply. "Throughout our history, we were prey to larger predators. We had to outsmart them. We had to work together. We had to use tools and strategy. Later, when we became predators ourselves, we carried those same skills forward." This insight led to a new military strategy. Rather than trying to match Krell's strength directly, human forces began exploiting their psychological weaknesses. They developed false retreat tactics, luring Krell ships into carefully planned ambushes. They used the Krell's own predictable responses against them. Admiral Kelly Daniels implemented these tactics in the battle for the Rigel system. Her ships appeared to flee in disorder when the Krell attacked. The predators, sensing weakness, pursued eagerly, breaking formation in their bloodlust. Now, Kelly ordered once the trap was set. Human ships that had been hiding behind moons and asteroids emerged, surrounding the scattered Krell vessels. The battle was short and decisive. 7 Krell ships destroyed, 3 more captured intact. On the diplomatic front, Ambassador Justin Chen attempted to negotiate peace. He traveled to a neutral system with a small delegation to meet with Krell representatives. It was the first formal diplomatic meeting between the two species since the war began. "We don't wish to exterminate your species," Justin told the Krell delegates. "We are prepared to offer terms for peace." The lead Krell, a scared veteran of many hunts, seemed genuinely confused by the offer. "You have advantage. Why not eliminate competitors? This is natural law." Humans don't think that way, Justin explained patiently. We've learned that cooperation often benefits both parties more than conflict. The Krell delegates conferred among themselves, their conversation a series of clicks and growls that the human translators struggled to follow. Finally, the lead Krell turned back to Justin. These terms are not acceptable, he said flatly. Krell do not share territory with prey. Krell do not compromise. The human delegation returned home with a simple message for Earth's leaders. They cannot accept peace. Their society makes compromise impossible. General Henry Blackwell, the former captain who had first proposed fighting the Krell using prey tactics, was not surprised by this outcome. Their entire civilization is built on a strict hierarchy, he explained. To accept terms from us would violate everything they believe about their place in the universe. They would rather die than change. In a decisive battle near one of the Krell colony worlds, Admiral Daniel's fleet put these lessons into practice. The Krell deployed their standard tactics, overwhelming force applied directly. They expected the humans to either flee or be destroyed. Instead, the human fleet split into smaller groups. Some appeared to retreat, drawing out Krell pursuit ships. Others hid until the Krell were committed to their attack pattern. Daniel sacrificed several powerful ships as decoys, allowing the rest of her forces to strike when the Krell overextended. When the battle ended, the Krell defense force was in ruins. The path to their homeworld now lay open. For the first time in millions of years, the apex predators of the galaxy faced a threat to their continued existence. As her ship set course for Earth to regroup, Admiral Daniels received a message from Defense Director Ortiz. Return immediately. War Council convening to make final decision. The question now is not if we can defeat the Krell, but what happens when we do. With the immediate threat pushed back, Earth's leaders made a bold decision. For too long, humans had only defended their territory. Now it was time to take the fight to the Krell. Using technology reverse-engineered from damaged Krell ships, Earth built a new class of warships. They were smaller than Krell vessels, but faster and more maneuverable. Leading this new fleet was the *UEA Vengeance*, commanded by now Admiral Kelly Daniels, the hero of the Mars evacuation. This ship is unlike anything we've built before, Kelly told her crew as they prepared for their first mission. Its hull contains elements from Krell armor. Its weapons are designed specifically to damage their ships. But our greatest advantage isn't technology. It's how we think. The offensive began with an attack on a Krell outpost in the Alpha Centauri system. The aliens had established a base there to stage future attacks on Earth. They didn't expect humans to strike first. The Krell expect us to behave like prey, Kelly explained during the mission briefing. They expect us to cower behind our defenses, to run when threatened. They've never faced a species that fights back the way we do. Science officer Eric Sullivan, who had studied Krell communications for months, developed a virus that disrupted their systems. When the human fleet arrived at Alpha Centauri, they deployed the virus first. The Krell outpost descended into chaos. Their ships couldn't coordinate. Their ground forces received contradicting orders. When the human fleet attacked, the Krell responded the only way they knew how, with direct, frontal assaults designed to intimidate. But humans didn't fight like Krell. They used deception and misdirection. Smaller ships drew Krell vessels into traps where larger ships waited in ambush. Ground teams used the environment against the Krell, luring them into areas where their poor temperature regulation left them sluggish and vulnerable. After 3 days of fighting, the Alpha Centauri outpost fell. For the first time, humans captured intact Krell technology and data. The information they gained was priceless. On the Krell homeworld, the Supreme Hunt Council gathered to discuss the unthinkable losses to what they had considered mere prey. 7 massive Krell sat around a table made from the bones of extinct species. Each bore scars from countless hunts across the galaxy. "This cannot continue," growled the eldest council member. "No prey has ever defeated a Krell hunting party. Now these humans have destroyed an entire outpost." "They do not fight like prey," said another council member. They do not fight like predators either. They fight in ways we have never seen. Supreme Hunter Zexkaloth, still bearing the shame of his defeat at Earth, slammed his clawed fist on the table. They are clever animals, nothing more. I will lead our most elite hunters to study these humans up close. We will learn their weaknesses and exploit them. The council approved his plan. Zexkaloth selected 50 of the most experienced Krell warriors. They boarded a stealth vessel designed for close observation of prey species. Their mission was to infiltrate human territory, capture live specimens, and learn how to defeat this troublesome species once and for all. They never returned. 2 months later, Admiral Kelly Daniels received a report from Earth's border security. A Krell stealth ship had been detected entering the solar system. Before defenses could engage, the ship had been destroyed by an internal explosion. Analysis suggests it was deliberately scuttled, the report stated. The Krell chose to destroy themselves rather than be captured. Kelly shared this news with Defense Director Ortiz during their weekly strategy meeting. "They're getting desperate," she said. "The Krell have never had to rethink their tactics before. Their entire society is built around being the perfect predator. Now they're facing prey that fights back, and they have no idea how to respond." Ortiz nodded thoughtfully. For millions of years, the Krell evolved to be apex predators. But humans, we evolved while being hunted by predators. We had to become smarter, more adaptable. We had to learn to cooperate. Now we're using those same skills against them. On screens around his office, Ortiz could see reports from across the front lines. Humans were pushing the Krell back on multiple fronts. Their rigid hierarchy was crumbling under pressure. Their predictable tactics were being countered effectively. 3 years ago, they thought humans would be an easy meal, Kelly said. Now they're learning what happens when prey decides to hunt the hunter.